Surviving in a world that's already lost is more than just a challenge. It's a battle against time, resources, and your own sanity. In this video, we'll be taking a look at some of the best survival games set in a shattered world, where the fight for survival is constant, and every choice could mean life or death. In 7 Days to Die, you are thrust into a harsh environment filled with hordes of undead and must scavenge, build, and survive for 7 days, as each night brings stronger waves of enemies. With an open-world sandbox approach, you can craft weapons, construct shelters, and fortify bases to fend off the relentless undead threats. The game's dynamic day-night cycle adds tension and challenge, while the freedom to explore, team up with friends, and face the ever-present danger makes 7 Days to Die an unmatched experience. Let's move on to Metro Exodus, which sends you on a cross-continental train trip across post-nuclear Russia. Taking place after the events of Metro 2033 and Last Light, you'll alternate between exploring the irradiated wasteland and traveling through frozen tunnels and intricately designed train interiors. Supplies are scarce, so you'll need to scavenge weapons like a crossbow and homemade firearms. Mutated monsters and hostile human factions also stand in your way as you unravel the game's mysteries. In Scum, you're thrown into a reality TV show as a prisoner, where survival is the name of the game. You'll need to scavenge for food, water, and supplies while crafting tools and shelter to stay alive. Combat plays a big role, whether you're fighting other players or the island's wildlife. As you progress, you can improve your skills and join forces with other players. But watch out, the show's producers like to spice things up with events and challenges. Next on our list is Dying Light 2, which takes place in a sprawling urban cityscape now overrun by the infected. Traversing this world by climbing, jumping, and gliding across rooftops and balconies is an absolute blast. And the day-night cycle completely transforms the gameplay as the zombies become more dangerous at night. You really feel a constant sense of urgency to scavenge for supplies and make it to safety before the sun goes down. If you're looking for something free to play, then Deathly Stillness is a hidden gem you should check out. This zombie shooter challenges players to survive relentless waves of undead with no health packs, making every encounter a test of skill and strategy. You can choose from a range of weapons and unlock powerful melee abilities after achieving kill streaks. Despite being developed in just 17 days and its developer describing it as a boring third-person zombie, it has received overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, and players find it surprisingly fun and engaging. Before we move on to the next game, if you're finding this video helpful, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps me out a lot and allows me to keep making more videos like this for you. Now let's get back to the video. Now for a pure survival challenge, we have The Long Dark, set in the wilds of northern Canada after a geomagnetic disaster. With no zombies or human enemies, the apocalypse here is the harsh, freezing wilderness itself. You must survive as long as possible against the elements, by searching for food, water, clothing, and shelter while battling cold, storms, and the wildlife around you. If you really want to test your survival skills, this game is the one. In Night of the Dead, you are thrown on a mysterious island, tasked with staying alive against hordes of zombies. The game blends base building, crafting, and intense combat as you scavenge for resources during the day and defend your stronghold at night. You'll need to use strategy and creativity to fortify your position, craft weapons, and set traps. As you progress, you'll face tougher zombies and greater challenges that will test your ability to survive. Chernobyle takes you to the haunting aftermath of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in a gripping survival horror experience. As a former employee of the power plant, you return to the exclusion zone to investigate the mysterious disappearance of your beloved. Along the way, you'll encounter a variety of challenges and obstacles. From mutated creatures and hostile soldiers to supernatural phenomena and psychological horror, the dangers you face will push you to the limit and test your ability to survive. For the ultimate zombie survival challenge, look no further than Project Zomboid. This ultra-realistic retro-style game spawns you into a world where almost everything wants to eat your brains. Scavenging for supplies is vital but dangerous, and securing safe houses while maintaining your frail physical and mental health are constant challenges. It really feels unique with its insane depth of simulated survival gameplay. Fade to Silence is a game that blends eldritch horror with survival gameplay. In this dark title, you play as a man named Ash, exploring a frozen wasteland plagued by a supernatural storm that actively morphs environments and summons otherworldly monsters. By gathering resources and building up a central safe haven, you'll attract followers that can aid in construction and defense. But the corrupted monsters will attack relentlessly, requiring you to venture out into the nightmarish blizzard and face Lovecraftian entities. Next up is Days Gone, an action-adventure game set in the Pacific Northwest 2 years after a global pandemic. Playing as bounty hunter Deacon St. John, you'll traverse the beautiful but harsh world on your motorcycle, scavenging for supplies, taking on odd jobs, and of course battling swarms of freakers. Massive hordes containing hundreds of freakers roam the world, making for absolutely intense encounters. Whether you're into strategic combat, exploring vast open-world environments, or engaging in a gripping storyline, this game has it all. In The Flame and the Floods, you play as a young girl named Scout and her faithful dog Aesop as they float down a river on a makeshift raft, searching for supplies and higher ground. The game has all the survival elements you'd expect to see in a survival game. However, the real challenge comes from the unforgiving environment, filled with deadly animals, raging rapids, and unpredictable weather conditions. In Project Castaway, you're stranded on a deserted island after a plane crash, and the only rule is survival. This first-person survival lets you explore the environment, scavenge for resources, and craft tools to meet basic needs. Isolation in the middle of the island will affect your mental state, adding a psychological layer as you struggle to maintain your sanity. Build rafts and explore other islands solo or with friends, tackling dynamic weather and survival tasks. After a long wait and several delays, Dead Island 2 finally came out this year. The game is set in sunny California, where a zombie outbreak has turned the state into a bloody playground. The open world lets you explore cities, beaches, forests, and deserts across Northern California, all filled to the brim with hordes of zombies just waiting to take a chunk out of you. And combat is brutal and satisfying, allowing you to craft and customize hundreds of weapons to slice, smash, and shoot the undead. Death Stranding throws you into a decimated but hauntingly beautiful version of the United States, where you take the role of Sam Bridges. Your job is to reconnect isolated cities by delivering supplies on foot across rugged terrain, while also dealing with invisible creatures that can cause massive explosions if caught. While it won't appeal to everyone, Death Stranding provides an artistic take on civilization's rebuilding after disaster. Now, Survive the Nights is still in early access, but it's shaping up to be an interesting take on survival games. You're dropped into a world overrun by infected creatures, where you've got to scavenge for resources, craft items, and fortify shelters to make it through each night. You can team up with other players or go solo, exploring abandoned buildings and facing off against the infected. While it's a bit rough around the edges, the developers are actively working on improvements and new features based on player feedback. There is nothing quite like bashing in some zombie skulls with your friends in State of Decay 2. This action-packed survival game puts you in charge of a small community of survivors who must scavenge for resources, build bases, and make allies and enemies in their fight against hordes of the undead. With permadeath, realistic resource management, and sandbox-style gameplay, every life-or-death decision matters in this tense open world. Mad Max is all about fast cars, explosions, and surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Based on the Mad Max movie franchise, you play as Max Rokitansky, wandering the desert in search of parts to build the ultimate vehicle. The world has gone to ruins after the apocalypse, with gangs fighting over resources like water, oil, and gasoline. The combat with the car is wild as you smash into enemies or blast them away with your shotgun, all from the driver's seat. And the melee combat is just as brutal as you whip out metal pipes, wrenches, and shivs to protect your prized set of wheels. Moving on to DayZ, this game throws you right into a cutthroat post-apocalyptic sandbox, focused purely on survival. Set in the fictional post-Soviet Republic of Chernobyle, you start with nothing and must scavenge for the survival essentials just to stay alive. Bandits, harmful diseases, hunger, and environmental conditions can kill you just as easily as zombies. The show's producers like to spice things up with events and challenges. The Last Stand Aftermath isn't just about surviving the zombie apocalypse, it's about making the most of your limited time. As an infected survivor, you explore a dangerous, ever-changing world, scavenging for supplies and crafting weapons to fend off the undead. Each death brings new beginnings, with mutations offering unique abilities. Fuel and resources are scarce, forcing tough decisions on where to go next. So there you have it, a list of some of the best survival games set in a post-apocalyptic environment. If you've played any of these games, I'd love to hear your thoughts below in the comments. And if you haven't had the chance to, I hope this video inspired you to at least give them a try. Anyways, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.